Alright, hi everybody, this is Sam, and we're here for another climbing the rating ladder video. I believe we're going to be 2100 now, so I'm hoping we'll start to face some international masters, some national masters, and so on coming up soon, and start to really see some very high level games. Although I have not played perfectly by any means against advanced players so far, so I got to step up my game a little bit. I've made some blunders in honestly most of these games, and only been really punished majorly once because I've lost one of these 8 games. But I think at least half of the games I've blundered in. So my goal, like I said at the start of this series, was to not blunder at all. Hey, Rora. And not blundering is really hard, but it kind of makes the game easier as it progresses, if that makes sense. So not blundering for an entire game is a very strenuous task, but it pays off. It kind of pays for itself. And if you don't blunder in the opening, it makes it not as it makes it more likely that you won't blunder in the middle game. And if you don't blunder in the middle game, it makes it more likely that you won't blunder in the end game, and so on and so forth. It's kind of hard to get a game here. I'm going to the zoo today, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm gonna go see all the critters. Go see my people. Right, Aurora? Yeah. You just do not stop chirping. She has the most funny meow. I've had Aurora for a year. She's been my baby for a year. And I can't stop laughing every time that she meows. I can't get a game here. So let's talk about chess philosophy. Vlad 2005. Big Vlad, the Impaler. Let's go with, they play the English. Let's go with c6. I like to get into kind of Slav-like positions, kind of trick them into some Slavs with the move order. But actually this game, I think, if we get into a traditional Slav type thing, I was going to go for a semi-Slav, but it looks like they're kind of going for more of just like an English, because they're fianchettoing their bishop. So we have some kind of English. Alright, so the bishop is out, controlling that long diagonal. So I think I'll just... let me develop this knight first, just so I can potentially threaten e5, getting a big center. And they let me do it. Interesting. They play h3, allowing me to play e5. I wonder if I should go for that. I think I'll just do it. I don't see any reason not to. Probably some kind of position that they like, but it doesn't seem to be theory, so I'm not worried by any means. Alright, so they bring their knight out, attacking e5, and this is obviously the uh-oh, am I playing like unrated games or some crap? Because I didn't get my rating points from last time. Hoping these games are unrated. It's weird. Well, if it's unrated, so be it. Because I thought I was going to be over 2100. Alright, e5 is attacked. How to defend? I think probably just bishop e6. Bishop e6. Nothing wrong with it. Develop a piece, defend the pawn. I should pick up speed a little bit because I'm being very slow. Alright, so they go there. e3, controlling f4, e4, or d4, and letting their bishop out. So they could be wanting to play bishop b5, pinning my pawn and pinning my knight, and therefore attacking my e5 pawn. However, that pawn can be defended again with like queen c7, for example. So I think I'm just going to develop my knight. The easy thing about these positions for white is that they have a lot of easy, quick moves they can make. So their position isn't better, but they're clearly going for a time edge, and I'm sitting here being slow because I just want to get a position that I like. I prefer to craft positions that I like rather than just going purely off evaluation. Like I see plenty of moves here. I see like, 2, 3, 4 moves that are potentially playable, but you want to pick the right one for you, and you want to pick a good move, not just something that works. Because you may wind up with a position that is fine, but that you don't, like over another position, or that doesn't have as good prospects. So anyways, I'm sitting here rambling, but my plan was to simply play this and defend the pawn again. But with a great center comes great responsibility. That's what Uncle Ben would tell you if he was a chess master. So, that's why I was not hesitant to play e5, but I was, curious about what their idea was to counter my big center. Because that is just, to me, all things being equal, a plus in my position. Alright, bring their knight out, connect their major pieces, pressure my center, but center's well defended. So let me castle. Now my knight is unpinned. My knight on c6 is unpinned. However, the bishop can still take it at any time. However, another feature of them playing knight c3 is their bishop on b2 is blocked. Okay, so they bring their rook opposite my queen, which is highly logical. So, for example, if I play a6, bishop takes b6, b takes c6. Actually, that would be fine. There's no pin that they can really use against me. Yeah, so let me play a6 and try to get them to give me 2 bishops and an even stronger center. That'd be nice. I mean, that pawn would be backwards, but I'd have 2 bishops. So, alright, they back their bishop up. Now I'm thinking about playing b5. Gaining space and making way for my bishop to come out. Yeah, I think I like that move. I don't see anything wrong with it. Probably my bishop can come out to b7. That looks like a pretty good square because it would connect my rooks, get my bishop on, feeding cattle on the long diagonal, similar to their bishop, and it'd protect my knight and allow my queen to go do something else aside from protecting my knight. What you got, lad? I'm liking my position a lot so far. It seems like I have like a white position and they have like a black position, and that's courtesy of them playing h3. they essentially got white or black with an extra tempo where they had played H3, if that makes sense. So they go there, menacing mini discovered attacks with their knight because of the pressure on my knight on C6. So probably if I wanted to, I could play knight B4, which is probably not a bad move at all. But I think I'll just play bishop B7, connecting my rooks and protecting my knights. They instantly castle, and now their rooks are connected. And I think a move I like here is queen B6, getting out of the way of their queen. And now maybe I can bring a rook to C8, probably rook A to C8, and put it opposite their queen. Get my rook productive on that completely open file, and make their queen a little nervous. My position is very good. This is the kind of position that if you're a positional player, you can see. It's not winning now, but you can see it easily snowballing into a winning position over time without you really having to do very much. You just kind of have to play, like the position plays itself, as they say. This is a beautiful position because I have a big center, slightly more active pieces, and pretty much that's the most of the features of the position. I'm thinking about playing E5 or E4, which would gain space with tempo, and I think I'll just do it. Gaining space with tempo, nothing wrong with it. Hope this game's not unrated. What's the deal with that? I guess we'll see after the game. I shouldn't worry about it too much, but it's a little curious. Alright, so they bring their knight all the way back, which is good for me, because now their knight is not active at all. And now I think I'll just bring this rook to the open file. My position is getting better and better, but there's no knockout blows or no big initiative that I see yet. But I have increasing advantages. I've got my big center, I've got my central space, I've still got a little bit more active pieces, because I would say my knight on F6 is clearly superior to their knight on H2. And then I'd say, you know, my dark squared bishop, which is my good bishop, is better than than their good bishop. So they play E4. Interesting. So if I play en passant, E takes D3, probably queen takes D3. That does not make any sense because that just gives me a isolated pawn. Well, it does. Well, is that bad though? Let's see. Should I do that? I don't see any reason to. It's probably not bad, but it's not good in my opinion. Maybe stronger players will disagree with me, or maybe the computer will disagree with me. I don't see any reason to take on en passant because, you know, I don't see any reason. Well, why would I do it? I just have that. I don't want to give up my pawn on E4. So I'm going to keep that pawn there. And what about just doubling my rooks? Just increasing the pressure. So now the center is completely locked up, but I have an advantage in the center because I have a pawn in their territory. Yeah, I think I'll just double my rooks real quick and take as much control of the file as I can. Hi, Galaxy. I think aside from doubling rooks, there's not a ton I have planned in this position at the moment. I could have, you know, at some point play h6 to create some lift for my king, some air. As they say, I believe lift is I know it's a German term, but I believe it directly translates to air. And yeah, so they're being real frisky with their pawns here, because I don't trust that move. Galaxy, excuse me, I'm trying to concentrate. Alright, so let me check out en passant here. So F takes, or E takes F3. And then they've got a big fat backward pawn. Excuse me, Galaxy, I love you, on E3. However, my pawn is still isolated. But I don't know that I should allow them to get this space, though. I should probably take this. I should probably take this one. Yeah, let me take this pawn. Because I don't want them to get the space. Oh, excuse me, Galaxy. Don't get stepped on. Alright, so now they're attacking my pawn. Makes logical sense. I was thinking knight to e7 here. That makes a discovered defense on the pawn with my bishop. Repurposes my knight to a square where potentially in the future he could go knight f5, attacking e3. Potentially in the future. So let me play that. Defending that pawn 3 times. So it's isolated, but they have a backward pawn, which in my opinion, a backward pawn is worse than an isolated pawn, because a backward pawn is like an isolated pawn that has less lines to be utilized around it, because by virtue of it not being an isolated pawn, as you can see here, these pawns are, you know, the E pawn is protecting the D pawn, so it has a function, but aside from that, it's just weak. Whereas my guy is not protecting any other pawns. He's just purely, if you will, an aggressor. So I am still very much liking my position. I say I am planning on the future playing knight f5 because knight f5 is risky at the moment because that square is undefended. Alright, so they bring their knight out. Good move because their knight was not doing anything over there. And I think I'll just take that knight because they're threatening to just ruin my structure. And I can get a tempo by taking their knight. And then I can decide what to do. Alright, bishop takes. And now they are controlling the c8 square. I gotta pick up the pace here a little bit on the clock. What to do here? I might switch gears and play, let's see. Hard to say what to play here. Let me play... I don't necessarily want to remove my rook from f8 because my king is slightly lonely. Gotta pick up the pace, but I like my position. I kind of want to move my knight, but my knight is defending some squares. I don't want to move too slowly here. Let's see where to go, what to do. Let me just play. Let me play h6. Give myself some air and see what they want to do, because I don't 100% know what to do here. That is not. I see several promising moves that all are possibly a little bit too inflexible, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, rook e8 looks interesting, but that leaves f7 weak. So it's not, you know, 100% necessary. All right, so they go there, wanting some trades. I think I'll take you up on that. So now they got the file, but I think they were going to kind of get the file anyways because they have control of c8, so it's hard for me to contest the file at this moment. Now I could play f5. It's an interesting idea, attacking their bishop and shutting off their control of c8. I might play f5. It's interesting. It's very weakening to my king, but it makes sense. He gains more central control, gains tempo on their bishop. So they're really, really considering what to do with their recapture. I don't think it's that difficult a decision, but they may be considering, instead of taking with the rook, they may be considering taking with the knight and repositioning the knight to d3, which is very interesting. So maybe they could go for that. It's a long plan. Knight takes f1, knight d3, knight e5, potentially. But it's interesting. But I'm glad they're taking their time because I am getting low. I'm still liking my position. They have their backward pawn on e3. I have my isolated pawn on d5. So those are the main features of this position. I have my bishops kind of aiming at his king. Yes, they do take with the knight. Let's see. Actually, but now with the knight not there, I might play f5, f4 and attack. Yeah. That looks kind of nice because the knight is no longer controlling that square. f5, f4, opening up their king side. f5, I don't have to play f4, but f5, you know, bishop f3. Oh wait, did I just blunder a pawn? Shit. Why do I always do this? God. I swear I don't do this all the time, guys. All my videos, I just blunder pawns. Just like for free. Just here's a pawn. I don't even notice I'm giving it away. I swear I don't normally do this. Fuck. That's cool. I love it. I just love giving away pawns for nothing. Damn it, I don't know what I was thinking there. I even like thought I calculated. All right. Brain fart. But now we got to go into maximum overdrive mode. Fucking hell. I guess I have two bishops. I have two bishops. I do have two bishops. So, there's that. 100%. Yeah, my position is not that bad. It's kind of funny. My position is not that bad. That's pretty funny. Because I have two bishops, so my position is not that bad. Alright. I'm going to pretend that was a pawn sacrifice and try to swindle them. Because I have two bishops aiming at their king. I'm attacking e3. And whatnot. So bring their rook there, which makes logical sense. So they could probably play like queen g6 in a lot of cases now, which could be a little annoying. So I actually wonder if I should play rook to e6 to stop them. That's actually probably the best move, because I don't want their queen to get into my position, and I'm low on time. But my position isn't horrible. I did not mean to blunder that pawn by any stretch of the imagination. I think I just forgot that their queen was all the way back there or something. That's what happens when you get a little bit low on time. You start to rush. And now I'm down to pawn, but I'm not going to say my position's that bad. I think the position's like half a pawn better for them, if that, because I got two bishops and they don't have much of an attack because all their pieces are on the queen side. So maybe I can swindle them. But I gotta stop blundering those pawns. What is up with that? Played f5. It was protected twice by me. Protected 3 times by them. It's kind of one of those beginner mistakes where the chess master goes, "Oh, Sam, you didn't notice that there's too many protectors on that square." Alright, so they bring their knight into the game. Which makes sense. The good thing is if I ever trade my knight for their knight for my dark squared bishop, we get into an opposite color bishop endgame situation, which is probably good for me. But my bishop isn't really doing anything over here. So I kind of want to move the bishop. But I don't know where. I don't want to get low on time either. We go here. I want to play queen e8 and attack e3. The good thing is I'm not like very worried in this position for some reason. It just doesn't look that worrying. I don't want to, get complacent and underestimate my opponent's position or underestimate their abilities or anything. But it's also good to be confident in yourself, because you don't want to give up just because you're down a pawn. You don't want to say, "Oh, I'm down a pawn, I may as well resign, or I may as well go crazy and see what happens." No, you're down a pawn, and now they actually feel like they have to win, and you can make them prove it, and you can be as annoying as humanly possible and force them to play and play and play and force them to try to win. And so you can be annoying now. It's like because I blundered a pawn, I basically feel like I'm a little bit of a fool, but now I can just be annoying as ever-loving fuck to them and just annoy them for the rest of the game, because I should probably lose the game, but now I really don't want to lose, and that's kind of a funny mentality. So I go there, which is protecting the pawn, which makes sense. So I think just all this, most of my squares are covered by my bishops in my positions. That's nice. So I'm gonna play here. I don't think I'm blundering any pieces, and just kind of go opposite their king a little bit. Just wave at their king, right? It's like the queen is essentially like the male lion, right? So I'm going across the matriarch. It's kind of funny. Chess is like reversed with lion clans, in my opinion. It's like you got your king, which is like the matriarch, who's very old, and she can't do much, but she knows everything, so she tells everyone what to do. And then you got the queen, who's like the Chad male lion, who runs in and just messes everything up, and just brutalizes everybody, shits on the ground, and goes and takes a nap. So I'm just waving at the king, just trying to make them a little bit nervous. There's no threats, but there could be threats in the future. And one of those threats could be rook g6, threatening checkmate. And last thing I want to do here is trade any pieces, except for if it's my bishop for their knight, because then we get into an opposite colored bishop endgame, which is not drawn per se, but it increases my chances of drawing in a lot of cases. But in general, I don't want to trade pieces because I want to keep it funky, because I'm the one losing. I don't know if the evaluation is losing, but I know, principally speaking here, I'm the one who is on their back foot because I'm down a pawn, because I gave it up, as I am wont to do apparently. Nah, it's just a little bit of brain fog. I think, I have ADHD, and I have, lots of brain fog issues and whatnot. So, but that's just one of those things where it's like, you can't just say, hey, arbiter, I had brain fog, can I take my move back? You have to do whatever, whatever happens, you have to go for, and you have to accept. So, down a pawn, here we go. So they come with their knight. However, like I said, I might be able to just take that with my bishop and go into an opposite colored bishop endgame, but I don't know if I have to take that knight yet, because I could actually just play rook f6, and the knight is pinned. If the knight moves anywhere, I can play rook takes f3, because their g3 pawn is pinned. So I think I'm going to do that. Their knight is pinned. Their knight cannot move anywhere. If their knight moves anywhere, I can play rook takes f3. Now I don't want to. I say that if they're screen sniping or something. Not that anyone really could do that feasibly at this moment, because I have like 3 viewers. But if they said that'd be hilarious, I'll just play knight e6, and I played rook takes f3, then they played knight takes my queen on g5. That'd be hilarious, but they don't do that. Okay. So they bring their queen over, kind of protecting their pawn I kind of want to bring my bishop to c8. Let me speed up because I'm moving fucking slow. My bishop is now attacking their king as well. So my bishop is assisting in the attack. The good thing is my queen is protecting d5, which is kind of central to my position. Because if I don't have d5, their pawns can start to roll down the board and their bishop comes alive and everything like that. So they get out of the way of my pawn, which makes a lot of sense. However, I think I can now just play this, probably just as a move, because I'm really low on time. I wanted to play bishop f5, but I don't think that was working because that drops d5, as I was just mentioning. But I don't want to stay below, like I want to stay above 2 minutes here if I can, because I start to really suck ass in time pressure. Alright. Let's play this move, gain some space. Gain some space here. So they were protecting their queen with that move. Let me just, you know, make mental notes of what they're doing. Good thing is I have 2 bishops. I mean, if you got 2 bishops, you kind of feel comfortable because they're up a pawn, but your pieces, you just feel they're more powerful. Alright, so they're attacking my pawn. Good move, but I think I can defend with a discovered defense. Haha. It may be a good time to take that. It's probably, let's see. Oh shit. Let me calculate and stop. Take it around. Let's play. There's threatening like a couple things here. Oh God. Time is low. Shit. Okay. Okay, let me play this. So the problem is they're threatening many things. There's too many things for me to calculate and tell you all about. So I hope you can just try to understand the game with me here. So they were threatening a6. They were also threatening queen to d8. Alright. Now my bishop is potentially attacked. So I have to defend my bishop. That is the issue in this position. So now my bishop's defended. So my position should be okay. We got opposite colored bishops. I'm down a pawn. My position is weird, but I should be cool for now. Whew, I'm getting low on time here. I'll explain to you guys what I'm seeing here in my head after the game. There's just too much for me to calculate and explain. Alright. Active moves. Active, but I want to take control. Well, let's see. Let's go here. Yeah. Now I'm threatening rook c2, getting my rook into their second rank. Good move. think I'll just take that. Didn't 100% want to, but I think it was probably a good move. Oh god. Wish I wasn't so fucking slow. Let's go here. The good thing is most of my pawns are on light squares. Like, this should be a draw, so just let me not lose on time. So I like increment. If there was no increment, I'd be dead in the water. But this should be a draw. Because my bishop and my queen are connected. My queen is protecting my d5 pawn. So I guess my a6 pawn is weak, but my queen can go and defend that pawn. It should be a draw. Should be a draw. That's what I was talking about. If we can get into some opposite colored bishop endgames, I have a chance. Okay. Logical. I don't know if that's the best move because I'm slightly exposing myself, but I'm just putting all my pawns on squares and trying to not lose on time here. Ugh. Stressful. Look out for any checks. Make note of any checks of theirs. Gets my queen centralized. I'm putting pressure on d4. I just want to make my moves very quickly. In like less than 10 seconds. Every move. I want to make my move in less than 10 seconds if I can. Keep my king on light squares if possible to avoid their dark squared bishop. I want to play h4, but I don't want to because it gains space, but it fixes my own pawn on a vulnerable square. Can't even smoke here because there's not enough time. Ooh, this position's getting tense. The position's very dry, right, from an outside perspective, but from my perspective, I'm very nervous here because I'm losing. Let me go here, just because I want to buy time a little bit. Gain some time on the clock. See if they'll offer me a draw or something. Or let me repeat moves. It's, you know, not that I'm like horribly worse. It's just I don't see the point in playing this position if it's a draw, right? There's genuinely no hope of anyone winning this position. And I think we'll agree to a draw fairly quickly. I'm going to offer them a draw. I don't think they'll necessarily accept, but we'll see. I certainly don't think they can win this position. Because like I can run my king all the way over to a6. And then as far as I'm aware, that's all I have to do. To defend any weaknesses. That's the only weakness in my position, and it's hard for their king to ever get there. So, to me, it's a draw. This is why opposite colored bishop endgames are often draws. Let me go here. We'll trade some pawns. They are getting some trades in here. I might even be able to play something really funny here. G5, G takes, or F takes G5, King, G6 is probably a draw. Yeah. I'm gonna play that because that's just a funny move, and I'm kind of like, I like beautiful moves. Sometimes if you can play a move and it's beautiful, and you know it's good, sometimes you can just do it. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, come on. How can you resist? Come on. I mean, right? I mean, come on. How can you resist? Because now they're up 2 pawns, but the position is drawn. And that's just kind of funny. Oh God. Let's see here. Am I being cocky here? Well, probably not. Well, probably not. It's probably still a draw, even if they win a6. Right? Yeah, it's probably still a draw. Because I can win g4. Well, let's see here. King. Oh, okay. Let's see. Here. Let me just play here to try to not lose a6. Even if I lose a6, it's probably still a draw, but I don't want to do that, right? So let me stop his king from running over there and winning a6. But this, am I fucking this up? Let's see, here. Oh God, I hope I didn't lose this. No, it's probably not losing. I don't think it's losing. I mean, why would it be? Because yeah, I got too fancy. I shouldn't have done that. But I did. And now my position is sketch. But we'll see if we can draw here. Dang it. Okay. It's still possibly a draw here. I think it's still a draw. And the idea is my king can just go here. And I'm gonna lose my frickin' a6 pawn, which I really didn't want. However, now I can defend both pawns like this. Yeah. Hopefully this is a draw. I don't know if it is, though. I'm such a bad chess player. Fuck. How'd I lose this position, man? That's horrible. That's sad. That really is sad. That I lost this opposite colored bishop endgame by by just giving up that pawn there. That's fucking sad. That's truly sad. Because they're up 3 pawns, and that's pretty hard to overcome. Oh my God. I didn't have to do that, and I did it. I thought it was drawing, but it was unnecessary. It was a pretty move, but it was unnecessary to play, and now I'm losing. Ridiculous. Good game, Vlad. I played like a fool many times. I'm just irritated at myself because I often do that in real games too. I'll see a move that just looks pretty and I have to play it, you know? And I thought it was like, it's like, I thought it was not the best move. I knew it wasn't the best move, but I didn't think it was losing. And then I looked at it further and I'm like, oh fuck, am I losing? Maybe it wasn't even losing, but I then messed it up in time pressure, in severe time pressure, obviously. Bit of a tough loss there because of the way that I screwed it up. Yeah, let's look at the graph there. That's really interesting. I think that probably my position was a lot better out of the opening. I had a really great position. And possibly up to winning with my position. And then I gave up a pawn for no reason. But I had 2 bishops and everything, and then it was probably equal. Or maybe a little worse for me, and then I got into this end game where it was probably drawn down a pawn or 2, but with opposite colored bishops, but then I gave up another pawn to try to be cute. And I got a little too cute and got stomped. So good job, Vlad, good job. It's a good reminder sometimes not to be too cute. Yeah, this position is -7 before I got too cute. It was equal, and it's still equal, but I messed it up into time pressure because I was like getting confused and seeing ghosts. See, now I'm lost because it wanted me to play here, so that when he plays there I can play here. And I saw this in my head, but it was too much to pull off. Like, you know, I was like, you know, I definitely saw this in my head, but it was too much to execute in the moment when you see your time dwindling down to 5 seconds. You just kind of make a move, and that's why you don't want to get into time pressure. Because if I had 5 minutes here, I would have been fine. And this is probably what I saw in my head. And I thought I'd be adorable and be up down a couple pawns and draw them, but got too fancy with it. I shouldn't have played that if I couldn't have handled the complications and the time pressure. So this move was actually fine. It was this move that was a loser because I'm just dicking around, waiting instead of getting my king more active. I should have known my king needed to be over there, right? It's like your king knows that they need to be over there because they instantly run over there for a sign of trouble. Ouch, kind of a tough loss. I mean, I basically lost in the last 2-3 moves, but that's most of chess games for you. So let's look at our analysis here. I'm assuming I had a big fat advantage out of the opening because of my huge center. I think even when I lost the pawn, my position was fine. Even when I gave up the other pawn, my position was fine. And then my position was dead lost when I allowed their king to infiltrate in the endgame, which makes perfect sense because, you know, I mean, look at this. What'd I say? Look at this graph. First I was winning. Well, not winning, but I'm a lot better. Then they're actually better, but they're not that much better even though they're up a pawn. It's actually kind of, you know, it's kind of nice. They're only 0.8, so that means, you know, that I must have some compensation for being down a pawn. And just got cute, which is okay sometimes, but not when you have, you know, whatever. I guess I had a minute on my clock, but then I burnt all my time trying to figure out what happened after I blundered, I guess is what happened. It's kind of stressful. Well, there you go. There you go. Bishop h8 was an unprovoked blunder. And I was in a little bit of time pressure with a minute on the clock, but I wasn't losing yet. I was losing in this position when I burned all my time. And that's how it's easy to burn time. It's easy to burn time trying to find a move that saves your lost position, and it's not there. And grandmasters will sit there and think for an hour with their, you know, genius brains and come up with, like, you know, philosophical treatises and, you know, frickin', you know, you know, college essays on what they're going to do to save their position, and they'll come up with these amazing moves and combinations, but it doesn't work, and the other grandmaster will still beat them because their position just sucks. Like, you can't save a lost position. Like, I sat here and thought until my clock almost burnt out, but reason I couldn't find a good move was because it's +6. I actually had to think in this move for 1 minute, and then I would have secured the draw by moving my king back, realizing my king wants to be here. See? My bishop is protecting the square that the king is already protecting, and my king wants to be more active in the center. Your king always wants to be active in the end game. It doesn't want to be stuck over there by the pawns. It makes no sense. It all makes perfect sense now when you look at it with the engine and with hindsight. All right, really good game, Vlad. Looking back at this game, I actually like almost everything that I did in it. You know, losing the pawn was not good by any means, and is not really forgivable for, you know, a 1900 USCF player. But the position that I got was actually so interesting, just from like a practical perspective of being down a pawn but trying to, you know, survive, that I was actually okay with it. And then I was actually, even now, I'm fine with my cute little tactic of pitching their pawn, but to blockade their own structure by giving them 2 double isolated pawns. That's actually a positional tactic. It's funny, you can combine tactics and strategy. It's called a positional combination, where you're not winning anything, you're not gaining any material. You know, you could actually be losing something, but you're gaining positional pluses. In this case, I'm ruining their structure. I'm gaining a blockade. I just didn't enact. I didn't react to it correctly. Clearly, I'm a little bit tired here as well. So that could be part of my issue with this game. Alright, great game, Vlad. I hope y'all got something from it as well. I'll be back here shortly for another video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.